ever been somewhere you didn't want to be? I have. I took my friend to go get a pregnancy test, and it was positive. We went to what I thought was a clinic, but it was dark and it was cold. Those chairs were the metal kind that were really uncomfortable, looked like maybe they were made in the 20s. She was there to get an abortion. I was conflicted. I wasn't sure how I felt. I knew I didn't believe in that. I wasn't raised that way. They called her back behind the door, and it slammed, and it went lock, 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 like she was in jail. I sat down and started looking at some of the pamphlets that were on the table, how to not get a sexually transmitted disease. And all of a sudden, I heard her screaming in the background. I went back to go talk to her, and the lady at the front desk said, "If you don't sit down, I'm going to escort you out." Okay. So I sat down. 5 minutes later, the same lady came up and asked me if I could go help my friend. Went behind that door that locked. It was probably one of the saddest places I've ever been. There was a lady, a girl, young girl, standing in the hallway, crouched over, waiting for me to remove my friend from the chair. I gently picked my friend up and looked around, and there were 4 chairs and those leather recliners that you can't ever get clean. They're like that baby blue color. And they were sobbing. One was just pale. I gently picked up my friend and took her home. She was sick for 2.5 months. She said that she wanted the abortion to stop. She had changed her mind. And the doctor told her, just lay there. It'll be over in a minute. Your life will be back to normal. What a liar. She was septic for 2.5 months. Dropped out of school. I never saw her again, and I still wonder today whatever happened to her. I found myself standing looking at that pregnancy test. A couple of years later, my boyfriend and I had been together for about 1.5 years. We had just gone to a wedding together in a farm. There was like mooing and sheep in the background. And he leans over to me and he very gently whispers in my ear, "You know what, Karla? I don't think you fit in my plan anymore." He was so smart. I was at a wedding in a pew. He knew I wasn't going to be able to react. What do you mean? I don't fit in your plan anymore. What plan? You never told me I had a plan. We've been together almost 2 years. What plan? You just don't fit in my plan anymore. 2 days after he left, I found myself looking at that pregnancy test in the bathroom, alone. My parents were there and supported me. I chose life because I remembered distinctly sitting by my friend holding her hand that 2.5 months she was septic. And I knew I wasn't going to go there. 9 months later, I became a single mom, and Cameron came into the world at 8 pounds, 15 ounces. Beautiful baby boy. I settled into being a single mom, went to school, had a job. And then one night, I decided to go out with my friends. And they said, "Karla, wear that red dress, that red Killer Man dress." So I wore that dress and walked into the bar and walked down to the dance floor, and right across from me was a man, and he had the beautifulest blue eyes. We danced all night. He loved Cameron and I, and we were going to settle in as a family. We crossed that line, and I found myself standing in the bathroom again looking at a pregnancy test. He was there during the pregnancy, and 2 days after Spencer was born, who was 9 pounds, 5 ounces, his dad disappeared. Now I was alone again. 2 boys. Doing laundry with 2 boys when you live in an apartment, going to school at 2 o'clock in the morning. You gather everything up, and you got the laundry, and you got the baby carrier, and you got the other baby, and you're trying to get up the stairs, and you get all the way up the stairs, and then you remember you left all the quarters in the room. What do you do? Being a single mom is hard. I decided at that point I was not going to date. I was done. I was just going to be a mom, and that was it. My friend, the day after Christmas, Cameron was 3 and Spencer was about 1.5. She wanted me to go out with her, and I was going, no, I know where this is going to go, and I just don't want to. And she knew that I didn't have the kids. My mom had taken them for a little R&R for me. Probably wasn't a good idea. We went dancing, and I met a cowboy. Oh, man, was he cute. Cowboy hat, belt buckle, whole 9 yards. We danced all night. The next morning, he called and asked if he could take me to breakfast. I agreed. He brought a dozen roses. I was toast. We dated. We were both Christians. We decided we weren't going to cross that line, and that lasted until we were engaged. Found out I was pregnant. I was standing in the bathroom holding a pregnancy test again. Dad, number 3. This time it was different. He wanted to get married, and we were going to have a family. 5 months later, we got married, and I looked like a beach whale. They do not make wedding dresses for girls who are 7 months pregnant. They just don't. It was 108 degrees outside. My feet were swollen. My hair was frizzy. By any means was not the dream wedding I'd always wanted. But I was married. Austin was born a month later, 9 pounds, 15 ounces. That doesn't really matter now, but it will. Went to the doctor at my 2-month check. He called Robert and I into the room. You guys need to sit down. So we thought something was really seriously wrong. We sat down. Yeah? And he looked at me and he looked at Robert. You're pregnant. What? You're pregnant? At my 2-month check. My brother used to say I could get pregnant standing downwind. He probably was right. 9 months later, my beautiful baby girl came into the world. 10 pounds, 5 ounces. We were a family, and things were good. We had the white picket fence. And then I got a phone call at 5 o'clock in the morning. A phone call that no wife with 4 children and a white picket fence should ever get. Hi, I am cheating on you with your husband, or he's cheating on you with me. What? Who is it? You have the wrong number. She started to convince me that she actually was seeing my husband, and my whole life shattered. I told him he needed to fix this as Christians. And his way of fixing it was to move the whole entire family 2,000 miles away from everything we knew. Our church, our family, our friends. Moved us to Montana, where we knew no one but my brother. Which brought me to Montana. We had a good life, and the reason I'm telling you this was that it led me to a dark place. That dark place was sitting at the bottom of my closet, going through my husband's clothes so my best friend could make blankets for the kids because their dad had passed away. Now I was a widow with 4 kids. God gave me the scripture, Genesis 50:20. Now that says, for he intended to harm you, but God intended it for good, for what is now being done, the saving of many lives. I didn't get it. He just died. Why would you give me that scripture, Lord? I don't get it. About 6 months later, I became the CEO of the pregnancy center in our local town. That is why I'm here today talking to you directors. I was there for 10 years. I stood by the ultrasound machine and watched those girls choose life. I also watched girls who didn't choose life, who we weren't able to give enough hope to. We couldn't get her to cross the line to choose life. I believe it's because we weren't able to give enough hope. One of the things that really breaks my heart, however, is not that the babies and the mamas and the pregnancies. What breaks my heart is that every pregnancy center in this country are underfunded. They cannot pay their bills. There was more than one summer, where as a CEO, I went for 3 to 4 months without a paycheck. I knew that had to stop because we had to function. Planned Parenthood has a ton of money. The government gives them theirs. We have to fight that. I'm here today to tell you the reason that I'm here is that what breaks my heart is that we're all underfunded. I know how to help you get funded. It's through a Sponsor-a-Day program. I can show you how to do this program in your center. I can ask for money on that stage for that program, because my goal would be for every single center that's here to be able to, within 3 to 5 years, be bringing in enough Sponsor-a-Day program people. You need 365 Sponsor-a-Days at $50 a month to bring in $212,000 a year. That will pay for all of your staff and your ultrasound. Takes 3 to 5 years to build that program. I can help you do it. I can help you do your event so that we can eventually, the goal would be to, instead of having an event where we're asking for money, we have an event to thank all the people who funded us that year. That's why I'm here in Mississippi, to help you fund your centers so that you guys can stay open and your CEO doesn't have to go without salary for 3 months every summer. Thank you.